What up? Welcome back to Insurance Toolkits podcast, episode 24. If this was a TV show, it'd be like a big cliffhanger type finale, and you wouldn't know what happens again until the next season. But it's just YouTube, so it's really not that fancy. We have a good friend of mine, Mr. Dickson, on with us this morning from Louisiana. And we always like to bring on a guest every single week. Some of them are big leaders in the industry, some are big producers, some are just people I know that the stuff they're going to tell you is the truth. So that's why we promote them. But this is just a good guy as well. He knows the business, he treats people well. And if there's another state I'd like to live in besides Maryland, it would be Louisiana. So Thomas, welcome to the 24th episode of Insurance Toolkits. Say hi and just share a little bit with the community about yourself.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Chris and Joseph. My name is Thomas Dickson. I am in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I've been in the industry since 2017. Prior to that, I was a cable guy for the cable company, working the plants, and I was in the United States Navy. So doing life insurance is almost the same things I did as a cable guy. I'm seeing people face to face on the phone. So it was an easy transition for me.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you are one of the few in the industry to have survived the ride along with me, right?
I did. I made it.
That whole week was a bit of a blur. It was in the middle of the end of the world, wrote 20,000 in the land I've never been in before, but we did enjoy a day together.
Yeah, you to be a guy from the north, you came down here and you just, you slid on in. Of course, people can tell you weren't from the area, but you went with it and it worked.
Absolutely. So we have two topics that you picked out to share with the world today. One was self-initiative and then self-promotion. So let's start off with self-initiative. Tell us what you wanted to talk about there.
Well, being in the industry for a couple of years, especially with social media, I see a lot of people that ask questions. And when I really just boil it all down, it's really about self-initiative. A lot of times, if an agent just pick up the phone, call the upline, if an agent pick up the phone, call the insurance company, speak to underwriting, about 80% of their questions can be answered by just them making the first move versus waiting for people to kind of spoon feed them the information.
Absolutely. I think sometimes people are expecting it to be given to them, but this business is all about going out there and seizing the opportunity. Joe, you've written thousands and thousands of Medicare Advantage apps and thousands more of final expense. Has anyone ever spoon-fed you that business throughout your career?
To an extent, they have with Medicare in the Pennsylvania area, but that doesn't mean it's easy. There's still a lot of competition. I remember I would even switch people sometimes, and the agent would call me angrily that I was stealing his client. And it was an HMO, and I would switch them into a D-SNP, and it's like, you're not staying on top of your clients. Why are you getting mad at me for putting them into a better plan? Like, if you want me to send you the scope that your client agreed to speak with me, you're free to look at it. And people just get so hostile. But I think there are, when you get good enough at it, like Chris could probably write final expense half asleep, whereas a lot of agents might struggle on really even fresh leads. So I think maybe spoon-fed is depends on the context of where you are in your career as an agent. Because to me, any kind of lead is like a spoon feed because I can close, what comes to me. And Chris is the same way, I know, with final expense. So I think it kind of depends on how you look at it.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is like you might be presented the training necessary to close the leads, but if you don't have the self-initiative to do anything with the training, still nothing's going to happen. I'm sure you've given out tons of advice, Thomas, to those in the insurance community and those that respect you, but that doesn't help them close the sale if they don't do nothing with it, right?
It absolutely. And I've talked to a couple of agents who've been in the business for over a year, and they still haven't sold the policy. And they have received the same Zoom videos I've seen, the same live calls I've been on. They've gotten the same information I've gotten, but they just overthink it. They need a little bit more, one more tip, one more video. Just go out there and mess up. Just go mess up, man.
Yeah, I think going out there and being willing to mess up is part of the battle. People are expecting to be perfect from the very beginning, but no one is good at anything from the very beginning. Perfect example, when we're out riding in Louisiana together, I had zero idea where I was going, zero idea about the community or the culture. I was fully willing to mess up everything out there, but if you give yourself enough opportunity, you're going to close business regardless of where it's taken place. In your experience selling in your local market, have you found an ability to connect with people by knowing the people, or how are you able to build rapport in your local community very well?
One of the advantages I have, and that's one thing, I don't have a problem with someone has an advantage. Everyone has an inborn advantage or a local advantage. I say take advantage of it. I was a cable man for over 10 years, so I'm used to going to people's homes. I'm used to seeing strangers and talking to them, so that wasn't a big issue with me. Also, before I got into insurance, I did a little photography, I did some notary work, so I wasn't exactly an unknown entity. People knew of me, so when I spoke to them, they already knew who I was, or their friend referred me to them as a photographer, as a notary. So I had some local ties that I just strengthened as time went on.
Now, I know for a fact too, you produce consistently on a regular basis, 4, 6, 7,000 a week, the sign of a solid producer. What do you think are some of the other keys that lead to that consistency?
Follow up. One of our good friends, Michael Newton, did a post a while back talking about how agents will follow up once or twice with a client, and usually it's after the fifth follow-up that the sale go through. Follow-ups is one of my biggest keys, and also referrals. But follow-ups, I followed up with people over 2 months, and they finally was ready to do the deal. That doesn't mean I spend a lot of time making a lot of calls, but if people keep hearing your name, they're gonna eventually be ready to buy when that time is right.
Now, how do you make sure that you don't get wrapped up in the balance between a one-call close and chasing someone who's not going to purchase?
Tools. I think you talked about CRMs before a little bit, and I know Joseph has, and the CRM is what does a lot of the heavy lifting. So they're going to the CRM, they get an initial text message, they're getting to a drip campaign, and then sometimes if I've actually spoken to them before, they get a drip campaign and they get a phone call from me. So the software is doing the heavy lifting. I'm coming in doing the light touches.
That's impressive. I have a meeting today with a CRM type person to kind of teach me about it. Joe knows I know one MA carrier and a lot about FE, but a lot of this tech kind of confuses me because I'm a slow learner. If you show it to me, you're patient with me, eventually I'll be good at it. But adding tech to your business really helps your business, reach a whole new level like you're showing. The next thing you wanted to talk about is branding yourself on social media, and not just to other insurance agents because whatever, but to the overall community to see your face and your brand. Can you share some thoughts about that?
One thing is, it depends on what you want to do. Do you want to be a local agent that sell face to face, or even sell over the phone for locally, or do you want to be nationwide, which you still can do as well, but it's two different mindsets. But if you want to be known locally, you want to be consistent. I tell a lot of agents that their personal Facebook page, if you want to keep it private, that's okay. So if you want to use social media to get leads, then you have to be more open with your personal page. So agents who don't say they're life insurance agents that don't have any pictures or posts or videos about their business, like Grant Cardone says, if I don't know you, I can't flow you. So if I don't know you sell life insurance, why should I come to you? So a lot of times agents don't use their free Facebook page to promote their business.
Very well said, Joe. I think as you began to grow into Turns Toolkits, you learned that you got to put something out there almost every single day. Some kind of demo video, some kind of content update, something to keep that brand up in people's news feeds. Tell us your experience with social media and promotion.
We mostly do YouTube and Facebook, which is our main ways of doing it. I think boosting our posts with the local network of people or you're friends with has helped us a lot. Because if people are friends with your friends, they're probably in the industry as well, or a lot of them. So that was how because we don't really care to market to clients. It's not our target audience. So that's probably going to be a little bit different on Facebook. And there's a lot of vendors that can provide you leads and things of that nature. But in terms of agents, I think just if you can boost a few posts and you friend the people in the industry that have 400, 500 mutual friends with you, that's a pretty efficient way of getting in front of a lot of people. So
yeah, I think we made the commitment back in Birmingham to really put an episode out every single week. And for the last 4 months, we went from 8 to episode 24, which shows consistency and content and getting that brand out there for folks to recognize. Thomas, there's guys out there that have what it takes to be good, but they're not getting it done. And on that realm of self-initiative that we're talking about, encourage someone that can do it to go out there and do it. You talked about being willing to fail, but what other things could they consider, or should you be telling them?
Just get comfortable with math. So let's just say you want to make $2,000 in commissions a week. Figure out how many people I need to talk to, at what average commission it needs to be, and what your commission schedule is, and work your way backwards. I know that sounds very elementary. It sounds very elementary, but it does make sense. Because if you know your numbers, you may say, well, I just need to get 3 people a week or 5 people a week at $60 a month. If I can do that, I've met my goals. Because everybody don't want to make $50,000 a month. Believe it or not, some people just want to make $10,000 a month or $7,000 a month. Work your way backwards and make that goal bite-sized.
We talked about on our training call this week, the having a budget-based goal. People love to have a goal. I'm like, I want to write 10,000. Well, what for? I want to write 7,500. Well, why? I want to write 200,000 this year. For what purpose? If your goal has a purpose, which is your bills, then you're more apt to actually hit your goal. And I always tell folks, if you know exactly what you need to write and you always write it, you never need to check your bank account. And Joe would have a stroke hearing that because he probably checks it more because he's so diligent with the numbers, but people get wrapped up in the numbers. They get so obsessed with overthinking every detail. Look in the micro details. If your goal is $300 a month in weekly premium and that pays your bills and you wrote it, you're good. Then do it again and do it again and do it again. Making it a numbers game is so important because it doesn't matter how good you are if you don't see enough people. How many people do you feel like you need to see on a weekly basis to be successful?
Now, that is a good question. And I talked about this in another group of men. I'm a little different. I really need to just see maybe 10 or less, because when I meet my clients, I'm not a cold lead. They either have spoken to me, they've seen my videos, they've seen my posts, they got referred to me, or I go to a home where it's the husband, the wife, and 3 or 4 kids. So I just need 10 people a week because I'm going to sell multiple households and I'm going to have people who already know me before I even come to the door. But that took time. It took time to get to that type of level, though.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been in the business to achieve that level of referral growth?
2017.
Exactly. People expect that tomorrow, and they're thinking, watching this video, that's what I'm doing wrong. These leads are garbage. I shouldn't be doing what they're telling me. That's why he's doing it. Well, he's been doing it since 2017 and has earned and built that business. Talk to us about referrals. How do you get them? How do you ask for them? It's one of my personal weaknesses, and I'm sure there's somebody listening that could get better at referrals as well.
Man, you know, I hate cliches. I shouldn't use the word hate, but I don't like cliches, but I realize a lot of them are true. You got to be referable. So when you be referable means when you go to someone's house, you answer the questions they ask you. You don't try to beat around the bush. You don't try to ignore their questions. Answer their questions, even if it may mean you may lose a sale. Answer their questions because they're going to feel like, okay, he was honest with me. Because he was honest with me and he answered my questions better than the last woman did, I'm going to refer him to my sister and my cousin. So if you just be honest with clients, return their phone calls, if they got 50 questions and you think it's stupid questions, answer the questions because the last agent didn't answer those questions.
I find clients sometimes say, I didn't understand what the last agent said. They talked too quick. I didn't make any sense to me. And agents can be overcomplicating simplified issue life insurance. And let's think to yourself, when I'm giving a presentation, do I understand what I'm saying? Do they understand what I'm saying? The more you say, the less they buy. I think simplicity is crucial in the simplified issue market. In your presentation, are you using a bunch of graphs, flip charts, visual aids, or are you just simply talking to the person?
When I first started, I was the flip chart guy. I had flip charts and everything. I did that, but then I realized, if people trust you, they know you have their best interest in mind. You don't need all that information. You don't need all this. I mean, I keep brochures, but it's really just a conversation. They tell me what they need. We have a conversation, I ask a couple of questions, and I present a solution that may fit their need. Now, when I do present a solution, that's when I do pull out the brochure, the paperwork. I always leave a leave behind sheet with my name and information on it, but it's really just like we're talking right now, it's face-to-face conversation on the phone conversation.
I think some people don't realize the power of leave behinds. Half of what I brought with me to Louisiana was my clothes, and the other half was brochures. Because people, you're selling an intangible purchase. There's nothing they're going to use with it. They can't go out and play with it, cook with it, show it off, but they can hold it in their hands. And a brochure that explains what they have and what they're paying for and who helped them get it is probably also a pretty valuable referral tool. Do you use any of those brochures to help you brand and refer others to you?
Yeah, I kind of got that from you watching you do the presentation, say you left the leave behind. So I made all the leave behind sheet. It has my name, my phone number, my address on it. Has the information they need about the product that we just did with them. And I also do say, like what's that? It's a book. I think it's Bill Burke Cates. Don't keep me a stranger. I say, hey, let your friends know who I am. If they do purchase, I do a referral program that I use, and I kind of explain that to them and everything. But typically, by the time I get done with the presentation, talking to them, answering the questions, they've already had people calling in that say they want to talk to me next week. So it's again, be referable, answer the questions, don't be creepy, be normal. They will give you their friends' information.
Joe, I still find your magnets in different houses across the region, and you haven't been in a home in a while because you built a bigger business and do a lot of other business over the phone, but you recognize the power of branding as well. When you were in a home and closing a sale, what did you do to kind of solidify that sale before you left?
Back when I did face-to-face, I would always leave behind the SOB for the Medicare plans, because that was my leading type of insurance that I sold. And that was something that they could hold and they could verify what I was saying, and it would help to prevent another agent from coming behind and trying to say they offer something better because they have the SOB. They can check what the dental is, what the OTC is. They can't have another agent gaslight them into thinking that they don't have something that they do. So that was something that I did. It's obviously a little bit easier, I think, when you're selling over the phone, because you can just email them or text them a copy of it so they can't lose it or misplace it as easily. Obviously, some older people don't have that functionality, but you can always follow up with them each week until they actually get it in the mail to kind of reinforce it. So I think people who say that telesales is more difficult to create the tangible aspect is kind of an excuse, because it takes 2 seconds to just send them the PDF, and even if it's final expense, you can send them the a basic brochure through a text or an email within 20 seconds, and it's free. So
excuses are easy. Excuses are so easy, and excuse people out of the success this business can offer. Thomas, you've been in the business since 2017. What has the business done for you, your family, yourself? Because I think someone's watching this video deciding if they're going to be in the business at all. So share some of the outside part that this business has given you.
It's expanded what I think is possible. I know it sounds cheesy, I know, but when you work the 9 to 5 and you make a certain income, you get used to that level of income, and you start selling life insurance and you get good at it, you can really make your own income. You start having months when you're making 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,000, 15,000 more. You're like, wait a minute, is this real? So it expands what you think is possible. Also forces you to get used to, I'm gonna do something I don't know about that. It makes you get used to handling more responsibilities. But yeah, once you start really seeing the income coming in, it makes you want to just work a little harder to get more income and to help more people.
I think that's one of the most powerful things someone said in 24 episodes. It expands your possibilities. When we're working as a cable guy or a paramedic, or Joe was 10 when he got in the business, he doesn't count in this one. It was, there's only so much you can do when you've only made $1,000 that week. And all you could do is pay your bills, buy your groceries, and coupon yourself into the next week. But when you go from making 1,000 to 10,000, possibilities are so endless. In the last few minutes that we have, what do you think you would say to an agent who's not new and deciding to do this, but watching this saying, this is probably the last week I'm going to do it. I'm thinking of quitting. I'm going to go back and get a job. This business just might not be for me.
What I would say is call the leads. If you got some leads, call them this weekend. Somebody's going to be at home this Saturday, not doing anything. Somebody just had a phone call where a family member died. I know this sounds horrible, but that's really what happened. Someone passed away, and now their mind is open to hearing what you got to say. Make those phone calls this Saturday. If you got 25, 30 people to call all of them. I can promise you, if you have your script down, or if you have what you're going to say down, you're going to get at least 3 to 4 appointments this weekend. If you just make the calls, don't do anything else but the calls.
It doesn't matter how good you are at what you do, is how hard you do it. When I started in the business, I had the social skills of a wet napkin. I didn't know how to warm up because I was more trained on how to resuscitate you, not warm up with you. I knew how to work hard. I didn't know how to sell anything, but I knew medicine. It was just brute force effort, as Peter Walker would say, that led to some level of stability in the business. So like Thomas is saying, is if you're considering failing, dial one more time. Ed Milet said, just go one more, I think is the phrase. And you might make it through Monday, to Tuesday, and then to Wednesday. And then a year from now, you'll have been glad you went one more day on it. So share some thoughts before we close about you. If someone wants to work with you, someone wants to get insurance from you, take the next few minutes and promote yourself like we give all of our guests an opportunity to.
Okay, my name is Thomas. I'm in Baton Rouge. I'm not the type of person that's going to mother hen you. You know, I help people with the tools and let them go out and mess up. And then when they come back and say, I tried this, I tried that, this is what happened, we can have a conversation about how to fix that. As far as customers, I'm the type of agent where if you can call me anytime except at 1 o'clock in the morning. If you call me, I'm gonna pick up, or I'm gonna call you back. I'm gonna answer your questions because I want you to know that I didn't just sell you insurance and ran away. I'm still here from the policy to doing a death claim with your children. So being reliable is something. Reliable and authentic is 2 things that I take personally, whether it be working with an agent or working with a client.
I got a bonus question for you. We've got 4 minutes. Joe and I live up in the Maryland, Delaware area, where if you know anything about it, you know crab is kind of a thing. But ironically enough, crabs also find their way to Louisiana. So share some thoughts on seafood, because I love it more than I probably realized until recently.
Yeah, you know, up north, they like to steam it. Down south, we like to boil it. So we boil it. We boil it in a crawfish boil. We call it crawfish boil. We can boil anything in it. Also, we have crab boil too. So we boil our crabs. And once we boil, we pop them open and we eat them. You know, but crabs is like number 2. Crawfish is number 1 down south in Louisiana. So you got some crab lovers, but mainly it's crawfish is king in Louisiana.
I know for a fact, if all else failed, we could get a crabbing boat and figure the rest out from there. We'd call it insurance crabbing.
Hey,
like that.
Guys, about your the po' boy you got?
Uh-huh.
The po' boy you got in Thibodeau?
Yeah.
We got a huge po' boy sandwich. I mean, I haven't had one that big since then. It was so, you can eat half of it, and that's lunch. Another half would be dinner. But it was a po' boy is like a French roll, like a French roll, and it has lettuce, tomato. It can be anything. It can be sausage, it can be crawfish, it can be catfish, shrimp. I think we had the catfish one, but it's a signature sandwich in South Louisiana.
Beauty of this business, for those listening and thinking, why the hell are they talking about fish, is you can do this business anywhere. You get a license, you get some leads, and without paper applications anymore, you don't even have to worry about that. You can go do insurance anywhere. Insurance Toolkits will help you figure out what carriers are in those markets. But the beauty of this business is you aren't stuck in your backyard and office. You can see America in the process. So Thomas, appreciate you being on with us for episode 24. Unfortunately, no cliffhangers like I had talked about, but please like the video if you're watching it, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. The more you do that, the more YouTube will show this content to others out there that don't even know that it's there. Thanks for watching.